Hello and welcome to the DFS_PhD show for today, the 5th of March. Remember, you're good enough, you're strong enough, and gosh darn it, someone's got to win that money. And the closest any one of us got yesterday was Mio for another 40 bucks. So good job. I went 0 for 50 in the cash. So great. Yeah, I guess when you think you have an edge and the edge doesn't work out. So I've been looking at the contest, trying to see, how close was I to anything. And first of all, the winner again, negative 30% ROI. So first of all, we know it took a lot for Dylan, whatever, to score 400 points. He left 600 on the table. It was too big of a slate to do that. He got lucky. Second place, only 100 on the table. Reasonable RO. Oh, same negative 30% ROI. Yeah. I mean, so I was looking through my own stuff, trying to figure out what happened. And I mean, what mostly happened to me, I thought, was, yeah, I had a lot of Keontae George, but hmm. SS projected for 0. Don't tell me that. His actual was, he didn't project him for 0. Come on. Don't give yourself credit for that. Oh, I guess he was out pre-lock. I'm trying to figure out what's going on there. But anyway, I also don't, yeah. I was trying to figure out what happened, but I mean, like, Portis, pretty good. Damian Lillard, pretty good. So who scored more? Jordan Clarkson. Okay, I missed. Oh yeah, Simons. So that was the whole slate. Right. I remember what happened now, having been there. I said I didn't think that Portland game would stay close, and I bet that with my money. So yeah, I lost. But the field was only 4%. That couldn't be why I didn't cash. I mean, what happened? Dame, I had him. I guess I matched the field on Clarkson. I don't like not knowing exactly how. I mean, like obviously it was bad that that one guy got hurt, Keontae, but that's like I was just like matching the field. What really? None of these guys who killed me. John Collins? No, I matched John Collins. Oh, I see. Exposure and actual ownership are the same. So this isn't my ownership here. Okay, that's why I was like, I thought I had 40% of the guy who got injured, which I did. So I don't know why. I clicked over here on my contest instead of all contests, so I thought it would give you my exposure. Anyway, okay, so let's review again the guys I did not have. No, I had all these guys. That's the thing. Like the guys at the top, I got killed with no, I had 20% Jabari. I guess it was a lot about 40% of the lineup's dead on Keontae. But yeah, I can't figure it out with the current maybe users. Oh yeah, if I do users and I go to my name, Bone Dog, and you'll see my wonderful work here. Oh yeah, but it's gonna be pretty far down the list. Oh yeah, but you can sort by winnings and everything, whatever. But it's a long way to Bone Dog, so I'm not sure if we'll actually get there. I thought if I control F'd it, it would be fine. But that would allow me to get the notice everybody's negative profit, because that's basically what happens if you do not cash your one entry for most people. Bone Dog, Bone Dog, Bone Dog. Everybody sees he did bad. Yep, that's the point of this. But then we go and we look at my lineups. I go over here to players. Just figure out, I know this isn't compelling, but I wanted to remind myself, too much Higgins obviously killed me. Samanich, I late swapped onto too much Samanich. I didn't have that much Keontae, only 30%. I thought it was 40. So some of these other guys up at the top, I guess, yeah, Kuzma didn't get as much of a smash as I was projecting. Brolo, of course. Yeah. All right. I was projecting the other Milwaukee guys to smash a little bit more than they did. Okay. Just want to make sure I learned some lessons. That was a costly day. I want to make sure it's a kind of day where, we paid to learn something at least. So I waited a little bit today. I hope you fast forwarded through that and didn't just drop off. Thank you again for watching. As we get to today's slate, it's important to do a review. You should do a contest review for yourself, just to figure out, how did it go? What did I miss? Did I miss something obvious, or was it something that wasn't that obvious? So anyway, for this slate, we just got Maxi out. So Maxi out seemed kind of important. I didn't see him get a concussion in the game, so that's too bad. I mean, hope he's okay. Hope it wasn't in practice also. But regardless, yeah, that's the whole slate today is like them. You've got that situation and then one other situation. So with Maxi out, we've got 4 games with no Maxi and Embiid to draw from. But the more interesting situation is Toronto. We got no precedent for the Raptors with this lineup, with Bruce Brown, Pirtle, and Scotty Barnes off the court. So we can do the best we can do with partials, which isn't that many minutes. It's like 100 minutes. These guys are pretty core pieces of this team. So it's an interesting situation with Toronto today as well. Did I not click the button? Ah, Well, I'll click the build lineups button and then I'll tell you my rules and then I'll see what we've got for exposures because I've done some significant meddling. So we've got a Jontay and a Olynyk fork. That's the upshot of Toronto, right? Like, so for Toronto, we don't know what to do. So, you got to double check SaberSim. Normally, so one lesson I tried to learn from yesterday in the chat, if you're in the Discord, I'm trying to learn that every time I make a change, it's like me saying, I know better than everybody. I know better than all these sharks or whatever. And I still feel that way a lot. I mean, like, you shouldn't play if you don't feel that way a fair amount. Like, you have edge, right? If you don't feel like you have an edge, don't play the game. And I think the edge is in people being conservative in their projections around big guys and people being conservative in their projections for blowouts. So I want to lean into blowouts and I want to lean into big guys. So that's how I wind up where I wind up. So Toronto, for instance, today, we've got Olynyk, who's probably going to be the starting. I mean, whoever starts, who cares? Olynyk's probably going to play like 28 minutes, 31 minutes is what they're projecting him for right now. And in that time, I mean, he should be one of the top options on the team. I don't understand how you would project otherwise. So, right? I mean, who else is on Toronto right now? I've got a couple of other things hashed out here quickly. Brooklyn, the Philadelphia game. But yeah, so on Toronto, yeah, quickly, you got Barrett, you got Olynyk. I mean, Trent, and then I did a Jontay Porter fork. So I added 4 or 5 points in case he gets extended with Olynyk foul trouble or something. But they just don't really. I mean, DJ Carton, really? Chris Boucher didn't play last game. He could and spoil all the fun. 20% Jordan Nwora. Yeah, I guess he could shoot the lights out. I guess 20% 25 seems like the kind of play I've been making for Jontay. So I'm going to lower that to 14, be a little bit more conservative. See, I only know twice as much as everybody. Olynyk, I'm going to say, yeah, a little bit. I think we should do a little bit more Olynyk. And then shooter percents of Quickly and Barrett, because, yeah, I don't think it's that likely that they keep the game close. But, yeah, if it stays close, it's not because Jordan Nwora hit shots, right? I mean, it's because Quickly and Barrett are smashing. So at 3%, at 6%, if that persists all the way to lock, I think you got to have interest in Quickly and Barrett, even though I recognize their prices, 8K, whatever, it's fine. Really, it's fine for a Scotty Barnes team, right? It's not necessary. I think they should be maybe a little higher if no Scotty Barnes. We don't know what to do with. I don't know what to do with Akbaji or Grady Dick. They could obviously hit shots, but I'm not going to force them in. But it's not like they get a huge bump from like the point guard being out. So if you think they do, add them in. So what was the other Discord thing? Oh, right. What we do with Philly guys. Did I even change the Philly guys? I don't think I did. Let's have a look at that game. Oh, I know what I did. I've changed them all, but not really based on the on-off the court thing because we only had like a couple games to look at there. Remember to undo the Toronto guys. So we're not looking at them anymore. Don't look at these lineups. These are all placeholder lineups. Yeah. So currently, let's see. Right. For these guys, I'm getting massive amounts of Oubre. It's fine. I don't need that much Oubre. 90% in the pool. Obviously, I've messed up with the amount of Kelly Oubre. How did I do that? Why did I do that? Oh yeah, because like everybody's out, and like when you look at samples with, that's probably still too much though. So let's lower him a little closer to the field, maybe 10% higher than the field, and make myself 65%, 50%, 50% Kelly Oubre. Let's not go crazy. But I mean, like Tobias, Kelly Oubre, these are fine players to be at the top. Who else is going to score points for Philly today? In what's still going to be, that's the thing. This game is still a close game, right? Philly and Brooklyn is still projected like a 1 point to pick them. And so, yeah, guys are out for these teams, but the guys who start are going to get extended. So you got to pay attention to this game. Pay attention to who starts. That those guys bump them up. If SaberSim doesn't get around to it, or if they're slow or whatever, bump up whoever starts. That's weird. If there's a weird starter, that guy, like, what's going on with Kyle Lowry's minutes? What are we doing here? Didn't he play like infinity minutes in these last games? We got him down for 32. All right. Now we go over to Kyle Lowry stats. Kyle Lowry stats. 33, 36. I mean, he was 1 for 9 in the last game. So, I mean, we know he can go up to 36. I think at least 36. What were we projecting it for? Oops. Don't need to look at the one where I lost anymore. 36 for Lowry. We had 32, right? Yeah. So I'm going to project him for the upside minutes because it should be close. And why wouldn't you play the guy you just hired to play? I mean, the other thing somebody pointed out is Nick Nurse is the guy who won with Lowry as his point guard in Miami, like Toronto. I was like, not Miami. I know the coach there. So, like, they have a relationship. It's not like this is some new guy who has to earn his time. This is a guy who won a Toronto, like did they win a championship? Yeah, right. Like with Kawhi and stuff a long time ago. So, no, he didn't have to prove anything to anybody. He's gonna get those minutes if it's a close game. Now, I mean, kind of want to get to some healed too. I've thrown darts again on Paul Reed. Oh yeah, my rules. So my rules for the day: Jontay and Olynyk fork because they're each other's replacement. I don't think they'll play alongside each other, even though I would definitely do that if it were my choice. Reed and Bamba, same general comment. I mean, they're not that similar of a player. You could play Reed at the four alongside Bamba. Not that he has that eligibility, but just practically on the court. You wouldn't do that against Brooklyn because, I mean, he's got to throw bodies probably at Mikal. So yeah, I think he should score a lot of points. I boosted Mikal by 3. I boosted Claxton a little bit. I boosted Cam Johnson by 5. A 4 for Claxton, I think. Just all the starters. I boosted Schroder by 3.5. Just I think everybody's going to get extended for both teams who is a starter. I guess that's also Buddy Hield, right? Buddy Hield's one of the starters, so I shouldn't not give him a boost that I'm giving everybody else. I don't. He's a shooter though, so I'm going to go over here and I'm going to limit him to like shooter amount. So that's like 10, 15%. He's no, he's not that good of an option. He should be at more than 5x once I give him the boost. So that's why I'm saying he's not that good of an option. I'd want somebody to be like 6 or 7x, like we wind up with Schroder, or wait, no, Oubre, Schroder. Those guys are pretty solid values at upper fives for your adjusted value expectation. Okay, so let's see. Campaign, we got to listen to this. That's the one questionable tag that I think I've got no news on yet today. Let me double check. No news, no news, no news, no news. Derrick Rose, Zaire Williams. Please stop giving me news about this. I definitely do not need news about Derrick Rose. Do we have any other dudes? Nurkic plans to play Tuesday. I had missed that, but that's not, I don't think that's for this. Every other piece of news was boring except for Maxey, I think. Yep. And we got Dayron ruled out. Oh yeah, Dayron ruled out. That's kind of interesting. Who's the backup there? What's the Watford? Oh boy, yes, I almost missed it. So I think you do need a Claxton and Watford fork now. Because yeah, glad I reviewed. Always review your notes. Make sure if you've been paying attention for a day, like because Dayron is fine. Like he plays backup 5. And so if Claxton gets in foul trouble, granted, not against Embiid, this is not that Philly team. But what's Claxton? I mean, also, yes, I think the odds are Claxton does not get in foul trouble and probably smashes. So maybe I increase his amount. But if he does get in foul trouble, what do we think the odds are? 10%? Easy. Yeah, so Watford's at 10%. Okay, that adds up. I'm going to say 15% is the chance that Claxton gets in foul trouble. He lives off his blocks. So let's say he doesn't get those blocks, and instead Watford winds up with 20, 24 minutes. Yeah, they're only giving him 14. So, okay. So at that point, we're going to get to a fair amount of Watford because, yeah, he's just one of the better. Let's look at his overall, where he fits in with the rest of the value. Because I was saying campaign matters, on the fringe of the bench, but Watford's definitely in the rotation. I mean, campaign is as well. Campaign would definitely be. I just can't. He still has to hit shots, right? I mean, like, what are we projecting for assists? He's not a machine, right? I mean, 3.6 assists. Okay, that's fine. But Lowry's like 2 more than that. So, he's giving you value, but I don't want 54% campaign in the backup point guard role in a game that should be close where the backup point guard won't play, right? I mean, am I missing something? Because like for me, I guess that's what I should do. I don't think he gets 21 minutes. I think he gets 18 minutes. So I should lower that to 18. All right. Bing bong. So now, what we have 15, 10% campaign, maybe none. 18%. Great. Feel much more comfortable. I just 50%. What in the world? Let's do that now. I'll see where the overall ownership is. Campaign. Yeah, don't know about that. Oubre, I get it. I mean, like, but also he's just so does he get those minutes? I mean, that's the thing, right? We don't have too good of a sample with all these guys out, but does he? Let's look at that. In our not this Discord, but in this Discord one, we go back to the Oubre stats, and we see Oubre was 36, so he's a +5. Yeah, he gets a fair amount of a plus. So he's a point a minute guy now with this combination of guys. So is Healed. That's big. Yeah, so I think we weren't projecting Healed for enough, right? Let's hash that out. 31, I think that was in slightly more than 31 minutes. 33, yeah. So we should be projecting healed for 33. We should be projecting anybody else. Who was it? Somebody else in the who was it? Lowry. Tobias, maybe? He seems pretty low at 40. 40.5. Okay. All right. Tobias is fine. 50% Tobias seems a bit high. Go ahead and axe that down. And really, like I'm gonna go with my gut on Oubre. I didn't see the field being quite that high on him. I'm not gonna make him a core play if the field's on Oubre. It's kind of like a Jaren Jackson situation. Like he's good, but I mean he's all over the place. You know what I mean? Like he can give you a baseline level of whatever assists and rebounds and stuff. But didn't we get we got Donovan out? Is that right? Let's double check. Yes, Donovan's out for a little while. I think I saw the news. Um, which makes me think your Evan Mobley levels here are extremely low. Because I remember from your court IQ. Now, first of all, Boston is destroying teams. So I don't know. I'm hesitant to do what I'm about to do because I know what I'm going to see. I'm going to see with Donovan off the court, you get not really the boost to Garland. We've done this before, but when Donovan's off, and let's do full games, see if that changes anything. All right. Well, first of all, it's going to change, and I'm going to have to rehash it because that's what it changes. But once we fix that, and we hash it to no Donovan Mitchell off the court for Cleveland in, I guess, like 4 games. It's not that many games, maybe 5 or 6. Oh, 13. Wow. Okay. Well, I haven't paid attention to the Cavs this year, I suppose. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. What's going on? I mean, so okay, how many minutes is this? 286 divided by 9. 286 divided by 9. That's a lot of games. 32 minutes for Evan Mobley. That's kind of a lot of minutes for him, right? Let's look. 32 minutes. No, I guess that's what we're projecting. They've got him for 34 minutes. Okay, well, in 34 minutes, he should have more points. So he has 47 in 36. So if they're going to give him that many minutes, you should have. There's no way I don't get to more Evan Mobley. He is the person who definitely sees, like you look at the court IQ, like of people who see minutes. Okay, we do have a pretty solid Garland now. Probably after the last game, we absolutely smashed. Where I didn't have him. But yeah, I can't really. I mean, I don't want to move him much higher than that. That's fine for him. Jarrett Allen, where was Allen? He's right up here too, right? Yeah, 42 in 36. So we have to check. Are we projecting 36? Because I trust them on minutes. They're generally pretty good. Every time I've double checked them, they've been, yeah. So they're at 34. So a little bit less. So I'm just gonna say, wasn't it that toss-up level then? No, Mobley's better than Allen. Yeah, that should reflect here. Okay. So I like that. I like Mobley. I like having like up to 30% Mobley, although with 0.8% in the pool, that's not going to happen here. But I'll get a few more percent maybe. Garland, that explains why Garland is popping. That explains why Garland is core. 40.5. It's like fine. It's kind of like the projections creeping up there. That's a little high. With Donovan out, we're going 26 for LeVert? What's that on? What planet are we on? What am I missing? I guess Sam Merrill's getting the start. And so did LeVert not get more minutes? Oh, he played 40 minutes in the last game he played. He was hurt though, or sick. What's going on with Karis LeVert? Knee. No, wait, no, that's last year. Elbow. So he's ruled out for elbow. Is he still questionable? Because I don't see a like end of his questionable tag. Yeah, okay. So we've got LeVert still questionable. If he's in, I mean, like the problem is like he just played 39 minutes and hurt his elbow, right? So like number one, he can play 39 minutes again. Number two, they might ease him back because of the elbow thing. So hard to know, but I think your column A has to account for his upside. And his upside is this upside. It's 37. So we have 37 here. I just can't pretend that Karis LeVert isn't, if he plays, I expect him to be like the second option in this offense, right? Garland, LeVert, and the big guys. And in terms of guys who can create for themselves, the second option. So what are we projecting assists? 4. Yeah, exactly. I'm 5 or 6. I mean, I think he has more assists in him in this offense. So I'm upping my LeVert percentage. This is how you lose every day. I just told you guys, like, you don't need to do this many parts to a parlay. I just disagree with more things, so I'm fixing them, in my opinion. But obviously, that's a lot of changes here, right? So like if you want to think about them like a parlay, I said I think I know this, that, and the other thing better than those guys. And it didn't work out with, was it Mobley last game? It worked out 2 games ago, not last game. Whatever. The point is long term, or for as much data as we have. Now, right. This is the other thing I want to mention, like on my way out ish. I mean, so I've started doing this thing. I've mentioned it in the Discord in the Inventing Stuff channel. So I'm trying to apply Laplace's rule of succession for late news because that's like how in the past real smart guys acted in situations where they didn't even know the distribution of the probability. Like, how should you just choose when you don't know at all what's going on? Like, what sort of situation? Like, so what's the likelihood that the sun comes up tomorrow based on one day of seeing the sun come up, kind of thing? Now, granted, bad example because we can get better, expectations of that. But basically, it's like 1 over n plus 2, as long as you're looking for one trial positive observation and n total observations. So let's say the positive trial is guy plays when he wasn't expecting to, or guy sits when he's not expected to, right? Initially, 2/3 chance on a downgrade, right? That's why I started liking this, is I was like, that kind of meshes with what I've been expecting for people. And if I'd used it yesterday, well, I still wound up at 33% Keontae, so never mind. But I did use it yesterday. That was my first day using it. That's why I did have 33% Keontae. So I like using, it's called Laplace's rule of succession if you want to look it up and kind of think about it. It's known to generally, like if you look at real probability distributions, it overestimates the chance of the rare event happening. And so the rare event being the late news. And that's what I want. I want to be overtuned to late news slightly in the way I'm approaching the slate. So far, I am I'm trying to apply when I don't know, like when we have a situation like today for Cleveland. That's Levert's second game, I think, with this. He was ruled out Friday. So that game we would have said 2/3, but that was on a midday downgrade. So we expected that. Now on the second day, we would say it would be, so we add another n to the bottom and it's still 1 at the top. So that was, oh yeah, sorry, it's 1 at the top. So that's 2 over, it's a 1 plus 1. It's 2 over, initially it was 3 and now it's over 4. So we would say there is a half chance that he sits today. So it's even money unless there was one more game. Ruled out Sunday. Okay, so there was one more game. So this is the third event. So that would be 2 over 5. So we think there's a 40% chance he sits today on the same questionable tag from before. So 40% chance he's in. Great. Anyway, so that can help us for today's slate because, we can take, I mean, if we think there's a 40% chance, it's close to a coin flip, and that means we should look at what happens with Karras out. Because that's definitely something we could get. And actually, wait, we'll only do this on camera if it turns out that's a late news thing. 4:30, is that when the slate starts today? It's late news. So, given that we could get this news right at 4 o'clock and it could be very important. Well, the other thing is it that important? I'm not sure it could be that important because I'm a little bit worried that it could be a blowout, right? Cleveland versus Boston, they're going to rely on those points from Caris LeVert. If they don't get those points from Caris LeVert, they're not getting points from anybody. It's not like, I mean, I have been beaten down on this point in the past by, Charlotte should have the pace they have traditionally in the past, and then every game, right? LaMelo's not there. They ain't scoring it. Don't use that argument I've been using to lose recently. I think that's part of it. Like, it's the team's pace is not a stat independent of the players on the team. And in particular, the principal component of that should not be ignored, which is the star who might be gone. So you need to, that's why they have on a lot of those channels or a lot of the data sites, last 5 games, last 10 games. You don't use that for prize picks reasons. Obviously, those trends can be useless. But if there's a background thing that changed 10 games ago, that could be super important. So anyway, that's why I'm backpedaling from going all in on Charlotte. And same thing with like Toronto. So okay, where have I changed projections today? Have I told you all of them? Yes, I changed these Toronto guys because we don't know what to do and their upside is tremendous. So I want to be exposed to it. They're all very low owned. Trent, Barrett, quickly. These are the guys who shoot. I mean, instead of Barnes and pass now. So that's a ton of, anyway, lot to like there if they can keep it close. 9-point at, game. So you have to limit it. I mean, 9-point game, that's not imputing 15% chance it's close. But right, so combined across these guys. So Kelly O should get there anyway in the additional minutes, I think. He just loves to score points when he's out there. He's always trying to do everything for the team. So that's why I've got him for a lot of points. But then besides him, 15% chance. Okay, as a, a Jontay Porter, 15% chance of Kelly O foul trouble from trying to do too much. Okay, I'm on board with all that. I think I've told you now all my various. Yep, I didn't get to any trend in Watford. Didn't I just rerun this? I added a whole thing. So that's my two forks. So I still left on my Claxton Dayron fork. Dayron's out. Oh, right. I meant to add trend in Watford to this rule and then rerun the simulation. So yes, Claxton Dayron's out or hurt or something. And so now it's a Claxton. Trendon Watford is at the min. Don't miss Trendon Watford at the min today. He's 10%. Whatever percent you think Claxton gets in foul trouble is the percent that you should have of this fella. So I have 15%. I just don't know, like 20% Claxton foul trouble against who, right? Not against these guys. He could also try to do too much, right? Claxton could block every shot. And he knows he can block every shot. And when you're a guy who blocks shots and you know you can block every shot, start jumping at shots. Anyway, it's a little bit easier to draw you in with a pump fake. Now, B-ball Paul, is he necessarily going to be able to do that? I don't know. I mean, it's close. So that's why I'm waffling here. I don't understand why Trendon Watford is not in this build. I have him as the second best value on the slate. I think I have to rebuild just to make sense of what's going on there because he might be core from, I don't know, he's not core because of the injury element. But if I go 20, 20, I'll go double the field because I do feel reasonably strongly on this. And then I will rebuild because this pool is nuts after we saw the Kelly Oubre part of this pool, right? This is basically what you have to do every late swap. You have to reset everybody to 100% and then be like, oh, okay, yeah, I see you really like this guy way too much. Let me fix it, let me fix it, let me fix it. And eventually you're fine. Yes, I did every single late swap yesterday and still wound up 0 for 50. Life just isn't fair sometimes. Sometimes Ashton Hagans doesn't play as much as you expect. Obviously, Delano Banton didn't get 5 fouls immediately, but I thought that he would play a little bit, alongside. I just didn't think Simons would hit infinity shots. I thought he's looked so down, like I thought he was just feeling down about the whole situation of them losing every game. And like he's no longer in the situation he was last year where he's young and trying hard. Now he's like old and like expects more of himself or whatever. Please get some news. No, that's a like DraftKings thing. Okay, yeah, that's NFL. Okay. So I want to see what we get for Watford. It's going to just max it out. Never mind. I want to see what we get with the overall ecosystem containing what. All right, a bunch of Darius Garland, a bunch of Terry Rozier. Didn't really see that coming. What's happened with Miami? That's popped out of nowhere all of a sudden. They're going to be in a blowout. We got Bam, we got Jimmy. I don't know, man. Against Detroit, this is going to be nasty. It's just going to be nasty. I don't know. I don't feel strongly about having 60% Terry Rozier. No thanks. 15% Terry Rozier, I'll match the field, but I don't need 60% Terry Rozier. I comment in the chat if I'm missing something on why I would have 60% Terry Rozier, but that's just confusing to me. Why I even should have to say no about that. Okay, I thought I cut it to 15. 30 is fine, whatever. Okay, so at the top we have Darius Garland, yeah. Sengun, love it. Sengun has a decent matchup, not a blowout, right? San Antonio. So he's going to want to prove himself against Wemby. Yeah, speaking of, what we got Wemby projected for? Why is he not like, oh, he's out, right? He's questionable. So if we take what do we got? I assume that's what they're doing. Yeah, 50. So number one, he's probably priced up to infinity after his recent performances, but that's fine. If he's in, you get to some. But the problem is we got a questionable tag. It's a new one, I think, for Wemby. So, and we've got an old questionable tag for Champagny down here. So we're assuming that one's about 50-50 for Wemby with the new questionable tag. We're assuming he's probably out. With them probably out, ooh, this game might get nasty. I'm not sure how much I want to increase my exposure to either side. Huh. Okay. Well, glad I thought about that for a second. I'm not going to go messing around at this point. I do think the guys we have up at the top are generally pretty good, but Sengun, 60%. Okay. Yeah, I think the chance of a blowout right now at 40%, assuming Wemby, well, I want to assume Wemby's out. So 35%. And is the amount of Sengun because that's the percentage chance I think Wemby plays. About 33%. Okay. So I think I hit apply. Maybe it's not going for some reason. Okay. So now Cameron Johnson, yeah, we got the Brooklyn guys, great. bunch of Brooklyn guys, Levert, Toronto guys, love it. Philly guys, yeah. So it's a really wide distribution of dudes after Darius Garland. Darius Garland, obvious best play on the slate, and then a bunch of dudes. In my general opinion, I mean, but oh, can Cleveland keep it close against Boston? I don't. 27% seems low. 50-50 for me. So I can't even be that much into Darius Garland. I mean, even less than 50-50. 40% chance they keep it close. 35% chance they keep it close. I'm just gonna keep saying it until it sounds reasonable in my head. I think about 35. There's without Spida, they're not that good. And if they get there, it's really a lot of a chance that Karis LeVert is there. So like if Karis LeVert's also out, I probably lower this further to like 20%, and I get to a lot of the bigs, right? I get to a lot of like, okay, so now I lowered Payne because I think it's going to be a close game. And so I don't think you should average all of Payne's results. I think you should go with whatever he gets in a close game, which is less because the other guys are getting extended. So that was the one guy I downgraded as part of my rule setting for the slate. Okay, so that sets us to where we are now, about noon Pacific time. Got a pretty wide open slate here, guys. You see I got nobody above 35%. I'm coreless right now. I'm coreless in Seattle. I've got some solid values, but I've got question marks on all of the solid values. Levert, actually a Q tag. Trendon Watford needs the foul trouble. Kelly Oubre, it's just like they don't need him. Can he hit his shots? There's all sorts of questions there. Claxton, probably, I guess I feel maybe the best about Claxton. I don't know. I mean, Paul Reed, if they use him and he doesn't get in foul trouble against Claxton, there's still a lot of ifs. So 10%, like a shooter going off. So that's the thing. I can make a case for or against a lot of these guys. There's no standout values at this point that are like, I guess if we get Karras ruled in and news of no limit and he starts, which is a lot because I think isn't he like in play for fourth man of the year or sixth man of the year? I don't think he has to start. 30% is what I'm getting to, assuming he comes off the bench and would close. But I mean, yeah. And right. That's just too high for a shooter. Trying to mentally get around what I'm thinking here and what's making me uncomfortable is that he's a shooter. He has to hit shots to get to that. He's not like he's gonna have a double-double. So, a little Brandon Ingram popping up. I'll take a little. I haven't added any rules on New Orleans today. I think that's a fine thing if you wanted to add it to slightly boost Ingram, Zion, McCollum. But yeah, I don't need 30% of Ingram really in any circumstances, maybe like 20. Because he's not a pure shooter. He can do stuff like distribute and get rebounds. So he's like fine, but yeah, it's not very much Zion. This is not a bad matchup. I think I gotta have that rule. I gotta have more of the winning side of this New Orleans Toronto game. Because there's a chance it stays close, and if it stays close, the side is still probably. I still think most of those circumstances, New Orleans wins, and it's bigger blowouts, right? Like there's time for Ingram to get there, there's time for Zion to get there, there's time for CJ to get there, there's time for Trey Murphy, and there's never time for Joe Val. He's never playing the minutes. I don't have time. Well, wait, do we not have his backup? Is Nance still out? No, Nance is in. Yeah, what's this? I mean, you just give Nance the minutes. It's a Nance Valanciunas fork if it's anything. Just not playing this guy. I can't. I'm not chasing this is nothing. There's no upside. I can't have Valanciunas in the pool. So McCollum shooter upside. Ingram slightly better than shooter. Zion slightly better than shooter. Okay, deal. So now I've got max 2 out of 3 with these guys as a rule included, and I think I'm feeling pretty good about it. Feeling pretty good about where we're at. So I'm going to say, well, we're good enough, we're strong enough, and gosh darn it, someone's got to win that money. Might as well be us.